Such a beautiful day today. I just had to come outside and sit on the porch to do this live. And also it might minimize the, the happy little children interruptions that do come in a big family. In case you haven't met, my name's Tara. I'm a Christian wife, homeschool mom of 10, almost 11 children. And today I'm going to talk about what to do if you're a child who's like 12, 18 months, hitting that developmental milestone and they're not talking properly yet, or maybe even talking at all. So it's something we've walked through not once, but twice. So I'm happy to share from my life and experience in a way that I hope will be helpful to you if this is something you encounter or someone close to you is going through. So here's the deal. Backstory. I was not prepared for motherhood. Oh my goodness. I mean, God bless my mom. She did her best, especially considering the hand that she was dealt. If you kind of go back generationally, could have been so much worse. That being said, when it was my turn to be a mom in my mid 20s, I was not prepared for motherhood. In fact, I didn't babysit kids growing up. I thought they were weird and annoying and just ew, honestly. So I had better things to do with my time, and it was a bit of a snob about it. So children for me were not only like sort of strange and mysterious, they were kind of repulsive. So how that changed that we became a big family at all with so many children, that's a whole other story. In fact, I share it quite extensively in my book that just launched today. So by the time we got to our ninth child, I had a couple things figured out, and I now knew like what was kind of normal for a kid, whereas before they were all just like all weird and I had no clue. I couldn't have told you the difference between a 6 month old and, like a 2 year old. And I had no idea what's normal. But, experience does count for something. So by the time we had like, a good handful of kids, I was feeling more confident of what's kind of normal on range for 12 months, what's normal for 6 months, what's normal for 18 months. And I was feeling more confident. And that does come just with anything, right? The more you do something, the better you get. But then along comes baby number 9, who's now 3 years old. And when she was 18 months at her like standard 18-month well baby checkup, I already knew that something was different. I knew it because I'm stay-at-home full-time mom and with all my kids, and I knew that she was not speaking anywhere close to what all my other children were speaking at the same age. She had 3 words. 3 words that were kind of clear, not even kind of totally clear. Otherwise, it was just like pointing and gestures all the time. So I go to the doctor's checkup or whatever, and I just put it right out there, elephant in the room. My only concern with her, like, she was walking, she was doing all these other developmental things, but she was not talking properly. And all my big family insecurities had flared because I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't want to tell my own mom because I thought, all the things that people have said over the years about big families and homeschooling families, they were going to be like, see, because sometimes people just attribute anything you're going through as a big family to the big family being, the source of the problem, which may or may not be true, but my insecurity was there. So I was really kind of quiet about it at first. So I'm going to share with you the journey to encourage you, or like I said, someone who might be going through something similar or will be at some point. So if somebody asks me now, like, hey, Tara, what should I do if my child's not speaking, quote unquote, normally by 12 to 18 months? And then here's what I went through. So from what I understand, kind of on average is by 12 months, children like little normal development, and there's a range here, but normal development is like by around 12 months or, within a few months after. Here in Canada, anyway, it's supposed to be about 3 words. By 18 months, 20 words. And they don't necessarily have to be like totally clear words. They could have words like wah for water, but it's kind of like they know what they're saying and I know what we're saying. We're communicating. So they're expressive and their receptive language is developing, and it will, become more sophisticated in time with actual like enunciation. And they'll eventually say water, by the time they get to be 2, 3 years old. And different parents approach this differently. I've seen different threads in different big mom group, and some people are like, hey, don't worry about it. My kid didn't talk a word till they were 3 years old, and then it all worked out with the wash. Other people are like, get your child to the doctor now. And then there's everybody in between. I'm kind of more in between. So here's what we did. Like I said, at the 18-month checkup, I knew something was different, and rather than panicking, I just sort of like held my emotions in check. I did stay private about it because I think the pressure of like my mom or other well-meaning people in my life sort of just like blurting out their own opinions and analysis and diagnosis, I think would have just been too much. So I recommend, if you're a more private person like I am, That's cool. You can keep your privacy, right? And deal with it in your own way. When you're ready to talk about it with other people and you'd like to get input, whether it's from big family moms or your friends or your family or the in-laws, then that's your deal. I just dealt with my husband and my doctor that, quite frank, I think I like to tell my sister, right? Someone I was really close to, and I felt like there was confidentiality and discretion there. So we got a referral to our regional speech therapy, which is just how it works here in our area because it was socialized medicine. I could have chosen to go the private route and just paid out of pocket, but I decided, I'm not in a huge rush. I'm not too concerned because, like in every other way, my child was developing normally in terms of like her energy, her emotions. I mean, we were communicating somewhat, so I wasn't concerned that I was dealing maybe with like a spectrum issue or autism or something else that I maybe would want to escalate more quickly. So I got on the waiting list, took a couple of months, do the paperwork, and then we waited forever. And then, March 2020 hit. I'll just put it that way. And everything in the world came to a grinding halt, especially here in Canada. So it took a few more months after that until we started doing virtual meetings. And I kind of liked it because had we done in person as a big family mom, I would have had to arrange childcare, right? And then go and travel like, I don't know, at least half an hour away to go to wherever their office was to do in-person meetings. So actually the virtual meetings were so good for me because most of the work that we did virtually, like 90% of it was just me talking with the speech therapist. And then we bring in my daughter towards the end of our meeting. And then we do like a little 15 minutes with her directly with the speech therapist at that point. So most of the support that I did in the say about dozen meetings that we had. Just a second, honey. I talked to my friends. I'll talk to you. I'd say about like most of the work we did was one-on-one with me. It wasn't so much with my child. It was equipping me to, first of all, do all the evaluation. Like, what are we really dealing with? And there was like, oh my gosh, so much paperwork, so much fill in the blanks. But once that was all done out of the way, then we had a baseline of identifying what are we dealing with my individual child and how to move forward. And even though I was nervous, and like I said, I had all my insecurities flared, one of the first things that was clarified to me was this is not my fault. It's not like I'd failed as a mom or that by virtue of having a big family, the ninth born, that she was doomed, someone was doomed to have speech problems because they just weren't getting the attention or the developmental, one-on-one that they needed or something. I was able to be reassured that this is actually neurological. It's not something that's so much like environmental because I'd really failed to do something, or she was growing up in a really neglected environment, or maybe a bilingual environment. I'm not saying all bilingual families are like this, but I'm just saying like they were able to identify that this is just more neurological. Like it's the way her brain is wired. It wasn't my fault. And it wasn't because we gave her a pacifier or any of that stuff. So I was like, thank you so much. It took a real load of pressure off, and hearing it from, an expert in their field really helped me. So, like I said, I began to learn about the building blocks of speech and where to start. And we got some very specific techniques that were tailored to our daughter. And we were able to just start working with her in a way, get this, that actually fit in my big mom lifestyle. I was worried that it was going to be like more work and I was going to have to do these like 30-minute a day one-on-one sessions, but they were like, no, we completely understand. In any size family, you're busy. Let's work this into what you're already doing and make it fun and easy and natural. And I was like, okay, I can do that. And they were like, don't overwhelm yourself. Just pick 2 or 3 techniques that make sense for you. We'll give you like a whole bunch of options and then pick 2 or 3 sort of approaches. So one of the things that we did was really we started with sounds because sounds are the building blocks of words. So the first thing I did, which was kind of ridiculous, but oh well, anything to help my kids, was making a lot of exaggerated sounds. So I started doing sound effects for literally everything. Like when we zipped up her zipper, we would like zip goes the zipper. Oh, what a fun. I just like a clown. And I don't really enjoy making a lot of silly noises as a mom. I don't know, maybe a more serious person overall, though I think I have a pretty good sense of humor. I'm not one of those like super playful moms, if that makes sense. And that's okay. I mean, be you, right? I just tend to be more like, I'm an adult, you're a kid, and I will parent you and love you. I don't tend to get on the floor and romp around with the kids. My husband does that very, very well. So I made a lot of exaggerated sounds, and my daughter would just light up and she would emulate it. And we began to see progress over the next year. So, by the time now that she's almost 3 years old, talking in full sentences now, and someone might say, well, if you'd never done anything, it maybe would have worked out in the wash. God knows, right? That was the path I chose to take, and I was very happy and grateful for it. Now, here's the deal. You might be experiencing something similar and feeling a little concerned, not quite sure what to do. So I would recommend, if you're concerned and it's kind of bugging you and you're not comfortable waiting a year or so to see kind of what happens. I mean, you could wait a little while. I chose at 18 months to take action because I knew this was not normal. I would recommend, honestly, talk to your family doctor, especially if you have a good relationship with them, kind of get their input. Maybe they recommend waiting, or maybe they recommend, yeah, let's get a referral going, because sometimes the waiting process is, a reality. Next, I recommend that if you want to just kind of talk through some of your concerns, I have one-on-ones available with me in 45-minute time slots. You can check the link that I've included in today's video if you just want to talk it out. Because sometimes we just need a private space as moms where there's like no pressure and we can just talk and get things out of our head and, make an action plan to move forward. And it's just not so overwhelming anymore. So if that's something you think would be helpful for you, feel free to just check that out and find a time that works for both of us. I've got a little schedule. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I'm so glad that I did take action when I did, because guess what happened with baby number 10? It was worse. And what made me that is that by 12 months, he had 0 words. 0. Not one. I mean, she at least had 3 by 18, but like he had none, not a word. So I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Right? 2 in a row. What are the odds? Again, my insecurities flared, but I was like, no. I mean, statistically, 1 out of every 10 children will have some kind of speech issue. That's just like the stats. So I'm like, hey, with 10 plus kids, yeah, there you go, right? I'm just hitting the stats. So I already knew this is normal. It's not my fault. And I knew how to start the paperwork process. I knew what the wait times were going to be like. And I've started doing exaggerated sounds and some other techniques that I use with my daughter that were really helpful with her. And I'm already starting to see some improvement, and I feel more empowered, more confident. So that's the road I took. That's the road that helped me. I know that I didn't have those resources because I didn't even know how to take care of kids when I was younger. But now I'm so happy that I can help other moms because I'm just a little further ahead on the road of life. And I walk through some unique experiences that can be encouraging to others. So if that's you, there's the link above. Otherwise, thank you so much for checking out my live today. I hope this was a blessing to you. Have a great weekend. If you're in Canada, happy Thanksgiving. And I'll see you on Monday.